Hello, everyone. Welcome back to, I think we're on episode 7 of Unicorn Chef. And with me this week is the wonderful Daniel Killeen. Hi, Dan.
As I say, good afternoon. It's more good evening. Good evening. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good with you.
Yeah, I'm really good, really good. Mixed feelings about this. For one, it's very rare that in April it's really bright and sunny outside, and we're inside doing cooking, which is interesting in itself. But also, I've never cooked on camera or done this sort of thing before, so I'm a weird combination of quite excited about it and a little bit nervous. So let's see what happens. I'm sure it'll all work out.
I'm sure it will be as chaotic as it usually is, so we're all good. So, do you want to tell us, firstly, a little bit about you, and then tell us what we're cooking this evening?
Sure. So, as I said, I'm Daniel Killeen. I am the managing director of a company called Utopia Cyber UK, which is a new company that launched sort of back end of last year, start of this year. I've been in the cyber industry now for just over 20 years. When I first started, I had a full head of hair. That's how long it's been that I've been in cyber. It's been a while. I didn't have a beard, so my head was like the other way around when I first started in the industry. But yeah, after 20 years of sort of commercial sales, then sales management roles, working for mostly MSSPs, a little bit of vendors, but mostly MSSPs, made the decision to launch with my business partners, Utopia Cyber UK, which I'll happily talk about a bit later, but effectively is a cybersecurity company focused on consultancy, focused on brokering, and focused on events where all of the proceeds go to charity and good causes.
Wonderful. So we're going to talk about events first, but let's just quickly tell everyone what we're cooking. And I think we have to put something in the oven before we can start cooking properly. So let's do that bit first, and then we'll talk about cyber events.
Correct. Okay. Well, so what I'm cooking, so for literally, it's quite a monumentous day for me because for health reasons, I've been doing something called a ketogenic diet. Something happened back end of last year, and it was recommended to try this diet to sort of address it. So from the first of, literally came back from a New Year's Eve party, January the 1st, I've been on this diet since. So what we're cooking is a keto chicken tikka masala. So it's keto friendly. It's very low in carbs. And like I said, I'm doing it for 4 months. So tonight, this will be the last keto meal that I make, doing strict keto. I've lost pretty much 20 kilograms in the space of 4 months. So I don't know if it's doing what I want it to do on the health wise, but it's definitely done something. And there's just been loads of different benefits from a mental health and sort of just generally being better when I'm awake, attacking the day earlier than normal and things like that. So it's been a really useful thing. And what we're cooking is a keto chicken tikka masala, and it's been the only thing that my kids have been willing to eat. So every time they've heard the word keto, I've done this really nice chocolate cake. It's keto chocolate cake. So keto has been a bad word for the kids, but they really, really liked this curry. And our nieces came over during the Easter holidays. They went to a petting farm. They went to this theme park. They had a great couple of days. The last day they had this curry, and my niece said it was the best part of the trip. So I don't know if that's poor reflection on the petting zoo or whatever, or a really good reflection how good this curry is. But the kids like it. I like it, and it's been a staple over the last 4 months. So yeah, the first thing we need to do, we did do something earlier. Obviously, we talked about it. We marinated some chicken. And that needs to go onto a tray into the oven. So let's do that now.
Yes. So we marinated some chicken in yogurt and some spice.
We'll demonstrate. There we go. That was mine done. Mine was a bit of a different colour to yours, but I generally go a little bit over on the spice. But because it's not spicy, the kids don't go mad about it. I think it just adds a little bit more flavour than what's on the recipe. We get a tray.
I'm going to let you into a secret. I actually don't like chicken, but I'm making this because my 7-year-old absolutely loves chicken tikka masala. So I figured I would keep the chicken in it and just let her eat the full lot of it. So that's cool.
I mean, you won't mind me saying, because everyone who came to the event that we did knows this, but Lee, my business partner, can't eat chicken. He's the first person I think I've ever known that's had any sort of intolerance to it. Like, I've got an intolerance to peanuts and things, which is pretty standard. But yeah, Lee, when we did the event, I booked the last event we did. I booked I had chicken as the main course, and Lee pointed out he was the only one who couldn't eat it unless the vegetarian. So yeah, let's spread that out and then put that into the oven.
Okay.
Now, it does all stick together, so at some point I have to go back to it and spread it all out, because otherwise it doesn't cook evenly. And I've got there's nothing that I'm really bothered about cooking properly, but I had a really bad chicken incident from the barbecue about 10 years ago. And so I'm just, especially with feeding the kids, I'm always obsessed that chicken's cooked all the way through. It's just one of those things that
I feel like if you're going to be obsessed with cooking something properly, chicken probably is the thing.
I'm probably a little bit over it because, like I said, I had too many drinks at a barbecue, ate something, and then seriously paid the price for it the following day. So, yeah, it was pretty bad. So that's all in. So I think we've got a bit of time to chat before, because that'll take about 20 minutes. So the sauce will probably take about 15 to 20 minutes. So
perfect.
We talked before.
Cool. Well, let me do my wine bit first, because obviously, as this is Wednesday kitchen, not Saturday kitchen, I am the Ollie Smith of Unicorn Chef, and I am once again drinking a French red wine. It is becoming a running theme. But this is actually a very nice one from Aldi. So normally Flurry in like Tesco is about 13, 14 quid. This one's only 8 quid. Bish bash bosh. And that is what
I like Oyster Bay. I'm a white wine man. I like Oyster Bay from but the Aldi version of that is very, very good. And it's like two-thirds of the price. I think their wine is excellent. But I am more of a white guy. I'll have a red if I'm having a steak or something. It's pretty traditional, but I would never go, I love a Malbec or something like that. It's not really my stuff.
I mean, I do feel slightly sacrilege when we're cooking a chicken curry, and I probably should be drinking a Cobra.
Good shout. I've not had one of them for a while. Or Kingfisher's up there as well. I like Kingfisher. So, yeah, that'll be on the agenda tomorrow at some point, I'm sure.
Good. So, yeah, let's go back to talking about what we originally planned vaguely at some point in the last 24 hours, which is cybersecurity events. So I think we both run cyber events, and we both have our own kind of spin on it, and we're trying to, I guess, disrupt that bit of the industry, because it's saturated with a lot of samey big conferences. So yeah, talk to me about what you kind of think around events, what you guys are doing with them, and how you're changing things up a bit.
I think as a company, we've got, so myself and my two sort of main advisors in Lee and David, we've got three very different perspectives of an event. So I've been the sponsor. Usually I've been the one on a stand doing the speed dating and seeing it from that side. Lee, as you well know, presents at many events all over Europe, and David goes to many events as a delegate. So we can see it from three different perspectives. I think what we spoke about towards the end of last year was, I don't think any of us have truly felt sort of satisfied with it. Lee, probably when he's presenting, if he's got an active audience and whatever, and that's great, and that's all well and good. But as a delegate and as a sponsor, sponsors, you pay an awful lot of money. Delegates, you know, like you said, they are pretty samey. There's not really a mad difference between many of them. The structure is still pretty much the same. And so, from a sponsor side, I just don't think the ROI, in my opinion, over the last 5 years in my previous role when I've been at Orange, I've really seen an event where there was a great ROI. Maybe one or two, but 1 or 2 in 5 years isn't a great return. So
I think from that perspective, I talk to a lot of companies, like vendor companies, who are going in and sponsoring events. And especially at the smaller end of the vendor market, i.e. startups, they're like, yeah, we're going to go to this event and we're going to come back with like 20 leads and we're going to sell all this shit. And I'm like, mate, it's not quite how it works though, is it? Because that's not how sales works in general. Like, I can tell you everything that I do, but unless you're in a position to buy it at that point.
I agree. I think it's what you expect from it. That's the point. With us right now, we launched the business in January. So we did DTX, the trade fair show at the start of the month. It was really good. You know, it was a brand awareness thing. We were market testing what we were doing, and it went really, really well. And the feedback was positive. Lots of great conversations. We weren't going there expecting 50 leads to come from it. It was more about, are people resonating with what we're saying? That's good. But I do agree with you that it's moved to a point of going, well, you're being promised leads, you're being promised opportunity, you're being promised speed dating at these events. It's just a bit weird. It's because you're not being allocated with someone that you know that definitely has a requirement for what you do. So it's honestly, if you let's say for argument's sake, you were Netsco.
The problem with that is the delegates get forced into it. So I've been at events where I've always been at a vendor side. I'm always a vendor. I go to an event and it still is mandatory for me to pick companies that are at that event that want to do that. I've got to pick for speed dating. And I'm like, I end up having to go walk around the fucking exhibition space at the beginning and be like, I'm booked in for a call with you at 11:15. There's no fucking point talking to me. So do you want to just use that time to get a coffee?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a bit, because if you don't do it properly. So like I said, we in my last role, we had a shared stand with Netscope. So Netscope, SASE vendor, and their biggest competitor is Zscaler.
Yeah.
We sat down at that meeting. It was this time last year, actually. It was end of April, and we weren't able to have our team there because it was end of month and there was a lot of business to be closed. So we sat, and it was myself and another senior manager. We sat down. The first 2 meetings that we had, they both signed with Zscaler on a 5-year or 7-year contract the year before. It's the equivalent of a married man or woman going to an actual speed dating night and saying, sorry guys, I'm married, but you know what? Might get divorced in the future, so I'll keep you in mind. That conversation would be so awkward and difficult. And it is like you're sat there going, I'm here now to pitch at you at something that I know you don't need. If someone came up to you in the street and pitched something you wouldn't need, you'd let that conversation go in 5 seconds. But when you're doing it and you've paid £1,000 for that meeting or more, it's mad. So we just thought there's got to be a better way. And I think we're launching our own podcast with the videos will be out about that next week. And it's called Disruptor, because that's what we think we are. We're trying to be a positive disruptor. We'll look at the market and go, well, in regards to the brokering side or the event side, what's the status quo? Why is it what is wrong with it? How can we challenge it and how can we improve it? Yeah, and that's what we're looking to do with everything. So I think that in this case, we're not saying other events are bad and companies that do it at the moment. We just want to do something a little bit different. And I think the main thing with ours being no proceeds. So all the proceeds will go to charity. Once all of the costs have been paid for the event, all the proceeds go to charity. And the first one we did at the end of March, that was a round table dinner. £5,000 went to the charity on the night that we're there. And so we're doing that's the difference that we're making and the positive impact that we're trying to do with it. Yeah,
I think that's really cool. So the events that we do, so I run a conference called Oh For Fuck's Sake. So you might be able to guess the difference that I'm trying to make, which is to be a bit more loud and out there. But we've kept our stuff, I think, like what you're doing, kept it like pretty small. So I think we had, I say 55, 60 people at our first conference. But it just meant that the sponsors that were there got better time with the delegates. There was more actual real conversations going on. And we curated the guest list, so we knew exactly who was going to be there.
Yeah. It's a similar thing. We won't be doing, it's not worth, no disrespect, the events where, like DTX, where students can come in and anyone can come in. It's not really of that. We want to do something that's value to the sponsors and value to the delegates. Well, the sponsors want to speak to people that can actually source and purchase their products, right? That's why they're there. So we want to make sure the audience is capable of that. But also just a good mix of, and with everything that we're doing, there's no point in us bringing a Palo Alto Networks or a Fortinet to the table. They already know who they are. They've already got those relationships. What we're looking to do is be at a price point that allows smaller organizations, more innovative organizations to come. So if that delegate walks away and they've gone, right, well, tonight, loads of money went to charity, great speakers. Oh, and I met 3 companies that I've never spoke to before. I've heard their new approach and whatever. That's worth it for me. And I think that's more valuable to them than just coming to another event with the same approach and blah, blah. And I think the charity thing really resonates as well. So we're really happy about that.
Yeah. I think that's really good. And I think that kind of leads nicely into what we're going to talk about next, which is what I wanted to talk about next, which is kind of innovation and disruption in cyber. So I've talked about this on other podcasts, not this one, but other podcasts before, where I think innovation and disruption in the cyber industry comes from the small vendor end of the market. So there's loads of like tech founders out there who've been working at like Orange, for example, or I don't know, NCC Group or whatever. They've seen the issues that are within cyber. They've come up with a product or a service that they're like, right, I'm going to just fucking quit my day job and I'm going to go all in on this product. The problem with that is they build a really technically sound product, but they've got no marketing capabilities. So I think what you're doing is probably helping bridge that gap between smaller startups who've got a really cool product, who can disrupt and innovate, but who potentially can't go to market at scale.
It's quite so. I've recently just signed up to Dish in Manchester, which is a brilliant hub for startup companies, and the energy there is brilliant. But from speaking to people, my understanding is that they've all got this technical experience to build something or whatever, but they haven't got the sales and marketing side of it. So I'm really excited, just not to make any money from it, just to be a proactive part of that community and go, well, listen, I've got 20 years in this. What can I do to help? And if some of them want to work with us on the events, that's the type of profile of company that I'd like to work with. What's also good is they all have a really good social impact story to them. No one's doing it and just going, oh, well, I saw an opportunity there to go and make loads of money. It's generally there's some fantastic in regards to protecting children online, making cyber affordable for SMEs and smaller. There's some great themes going there, which we really sort of tie into. So no, that's pretty much what I think we are gonna do. But the events that we're doing are some of the largest companies. I think the 18,000 users was the biggest one that came to our Manchester one. So it's not only exclusive to a small SME. It's whoever this sort of resonates with, really.
No, I think that's really good though, and I think you having that background in kind of the sales and commercial side of things will help you propel that forwards. Because I do think that is probably one of the main skills missing at the startup end of the market. Whenever I've done surveys on startups before, and the thing that they need help with is marketing and sales.
And this happy to help with that, and I think that's what I'm quite fortunate. You've met Lee and know Liam, business partner, and David, and one of other investors is Rich, and my best friend and best man for I've known him for many years. To go to these guys and go, listen, it's more purpose over profit for the first couple of years. It's more like getting the brand out there, and charities are going to get more money than you're going to get. If we do $500,000, $100,000 of that's going to go to charity, and not many people would have that patience to go, okay, I kind of get it, but they're all bought into the purpose of what we're doing, as well as trying to build a sustainable, profitable business. So it is quite exciting. Every day is really challenging, but in a really, really positive way.
Yeah, that's cool. Do we need to check this chicken that's new?
The chicken's all right. I think we need to start on the sauce now, though. So get your onion. I am a food processor and onion guy because I like it all to be absolutely mushed up. But just need to peel one onion and chop it or put it in the food processor.
Here's one I chopped earlier. Ta-da!
Oh, you chopped it earlier. Damn it!
I did because I
don't have that annoying background noise. I don't
want to be crying on the screen. So.
Yeah, I think.
You're gonna. Oh yeah, it's looking good. That chicken, smelling nice.
Good. It's really. As I said, lots of flavour in this, which is fantastic. And
definitely not using this many spices for a while.
It's really how much cream you put in his hat. So if the sauce that you make, like the curry sauce that we're going to make, does have quite a kick to it, but then it's just we put so much cream in it, it sort of takes that away.
Yeah, I'll add extra cream in for the 7-year-old that will be in this.
Well, I'll be keen to hear the feedback of how does it live up to other particular site if it's a favourite dish.
Very high expectations.
Yeah, so it's a favourite dish, though. That's a high bar.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So
okay. I need to turn this on for a second. So can I mute me whilst I do that?
I
can mute. There we go.
Oh,
I'll let you talk for a second just whilst I chop it.
All right, cool. No pressure then. I'll just, I guess I'll just fill this gap. This is cool. When you come back, I think we should talk about kind of what Utopia is doing around the procurement piece as well. So I think that's really interesting about how you're trying to, I think from what I understand, trying to help companies procure at scale from smaller organizations. Is that how have I understood it right?
Yeah, I think for me, it's more about organizations right now. If they want to go out and get assistance on a commercial or technical basis or both for what the right strategy or procuring the right solution, you've generally you can either go to a reseller or someone who's going to push their own services at some point, or you can go to a Deloitte or a KPMG and you can use their services. Now, they're fantastic, they're experienced people, but that comes at quite a significant cost. And it's a cost that generally an SME to medium enterprise will struggle to swallow. What we're wanting to do is go, right, well, if we're able to help you with that process and you trust us to make the recommendations, tell us what your requirements are. Let us work with you on that strategy. We'll go out and do the interaction with the organizations that we think are right fit for you. And once that interaction happens, we agree a fair and transparent broker fee. And this is not a huge amount at all. We're quite a lean business. We're not talking, huge numbers, but we make that fee really clear to the customer. Let's say, for argument's sake, there's 5 companies that we put forward, and one company will give us 5% as our broker fee, and one says 10. We say to the customer that if you choose the one that says 10, we're not going to encourage you to do that. But if you do, we'll take 5 from everybody and we'll give the difference to charity or good causes. So we're completely agnostic. There's no preference for one over the other due to getting preferable commercial terms. And then from the point that we agree that and we show them that, we're then on the customer side. So the customer is benefiting from 20 years of commercial experience to help them make sure when they make the decision, they get the right price for it. And 20 plus years of technical and leadership experience from my existing business partners and additional consultants that we're going to bring into the business on a sort of part-time basis. So we're really giving them all of that. And I think it was, from memory, it was Michael, I think who head of cyber at Trafford Council, who came over at DTX, and he just said, put it simply, I'm getting you and him in my team for free. And I was like, that's it. Yeah, that's the best way. If you trust us to do it, and if you trust us to the point of giving us a view of your budget and really transparent, as you would with a Deloitte or a KPMG, we can help you get to the end point. But they'll never help you get it cheaper. They'll never help you on the commercial side. We do that as well, and then we're paid at the back end by whoever the successful person is. Yeah. But it works for the suppliers as well, because for them it's no win, no fee lead gen.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where the Utopia name came from. It works for the client and it works for the the providers, the technology vendors or the MSSPs.
Yeah, and I think it's really good that. I like that. I like that model. I know, because my concern with that would have been, how do you knock the bias out of it? Like you said, if someone's giving you 10% and someone's giving you 5%, but if you're giving that difference to charity, then so you're just baseline it and at whatever the lowest broker fee is, then that's
correct, and that's it. And so I think I was on a podcast with Lee last week. I think it's going out in end of May, June, and they sort of asked the question of, are you not kind of like turning your back on what you've done for the last 17 of the last 20 years? My point is, well, no, these are companies that employed me to do a job, and I did a good job and did really well. It's not my family. It's not my family. It's the way they did things worked for them, and I want to do something for me and Utopia that works for us. And so, I think for me that's what's really important about this. I just noticed that there's an area that I don't think, Joe, when you look at people who've invented something like a product, I never have any envy of those people. I look at the people that develop Just Eat, Uber, and you think, I was getting the yellow pages and trying to find somewhere to get a curry. I was ringing my local taxi company and they were saying, oh, they're just coming around the corner now, and you were waiting there. Yeah. We all knew it was a broken process. We just didn't do anything. These guys did something about it and have been very successful at the back of it. And I think that's what, with everything in cyber, we're just looking and going, right, well, the status quo is that. Why can't you do it differently? And that's it. And to be fair, people have tried, and I've looked at who's tried and done it before, and it's not been as successful. And I think the reason is, as you touched upon it, they've either been technical people trying to do it without sales experience, or salespeople without anyone technical or on the customer side as part of the business. And that's why I'm hoping we've got the perfect match. Right. So we need to put 1 tablespoon of butter into a pan.
I am well ahead of you, my friend. I've been
well ahead of me, right? I'm
fine up in the pan waiting for you.
No, listen, right, I'm on it.
To be fair, I am practiced at this now, so I can actually multitask, which is quite nice.
That's fine. Right, well, there we go. Oh. So how many of these have you done?
This is my fourth episode I've ever recorded. It's the 3rd one I've been a host on. But I'm starting doing more of them because the other guys that do it are all in America. So if you want to watch it live if you want to watch the American one live, then it goes live at like fucking 11:30 at night for us, which is obviously not ideal. So I'm going to do some more sessions in the UK, just to keep a bit of consistency with it.
Now with mine, I'm not particularly fussed because the food processor hasn't done an amazing job on the onion. But because I've got 2 little kids who refuse to eat things that have got clear and visible veg in it, I actually blend it at the end. But it genuinely does make the sauce taste better as well. I think it just brings everything together. So yeah.
I've got a stick blender. I can do that at the end. That's cool.
I've got what, sorry?
I've got a stick blender, so I can do that at the end.
Oh, that's fine. I'll just stick mine literally into an Ginger, and there we go. Yeah, so the onion needs about 5 minutes to cook.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then you add the garlic and the ginger.
Now, we both did discuss this earlier, and we were really fucking lazy with our garlic and bought jars of garlic, didn't we? Because actual garlic is a pain in the ass.
I think as well, like, also, the process of grating ginger generally ends up with me taking out one of my fingers, so it's not good. And a friend of mine who was a chef in a very good restaurant assured me that most restaurants don't even use fresh because of the ease of using it from a bottle like we've got here.
Well, I do actually have fresh ginger that I am currently peeling while I'm talking, which could be quite dangerous. But anyway, I'm going to chop it into matchsticks because I'm going to blend it at the end anyway, so I don't need to grate it. If you grate it, you lose half of the bloody ginger as well. So it's really.
That's why it doesn't grate very well at all. I thought the same.
But yes, I'm gonna chop this up while we're continuing to talk. So I've got to really concentrate to not chop my fingers off. So you need to do some talking now, Daniel.
Well, can I throw questions your way then?
Go on then.
Well, because obviously you know that. So we're doing our event at the end of the year, and I'll talk about that later. But we obviously talking about working with yourself from the cyber escape rooms. So the cyber escape rooms, do you do that for audiences of people that aren't in cyber, or both? People that are in cyber and are? And I'm like, do the people that in cyber generally, are their expectations very different? They want to be challenged. You have ones that would be relevant to a CISO and one that would be relevant to Joe Bloggs off the street.
So the primary audience for them all is, and so the primary reason why we started it is end user awareness training, right? Okay. So it is all aimed at Joe Bloggs off the street. So, but the reason why it goes down well with audiences at events like yours is because it's a cyber themed thing to do, which often what I find with events is they're all bloody, let's go to the football, let's go to the racetrack, let's go to the golf course, whatever. Which I did see a post from a guy earlier who's in Scotland, and he was like, I don't speak sport. So I have to pretend to know what the fuck's going on when all of my customers start talking about bloody rugby or whatever. And I was like, yes, I feel exactly the same. So that's why we've kind of provided, I guess, something that's definitely gender agnostic, gender neutral, whatever it is. You don't have to be a bloke to enjoy it, or you don't, tend to be a bloke to enjoy it. And it's vendor agnostic, and it's a little bit of fun. It's interactive. You do it in groups. So I think that's why it goes down quite well at events, because it's a nice way of networking without really forcing the issue.
I do think that, but I also, I'm with you. Whether it's an event, whether it's football or rugby or any sport, and the same thing if you were to take someone to see a concert or see or the theatre or anything like that. You generally, if you're going to speak to that person during that activity, you've got to whisper in their ear. And that's quite a level of intimacy that you maybe shouldn't be having with one of your customers, but you generally have got to, or shout into their ear if you're at a sport or at a concert or something like that. Yeah. In my previous place, they looked at, should we get like dedicated tickets at the O2? And I was like, what? So you take someone to go and watch Kylie Minogue, have some drinks before, but for the 3 hours that Kylie's on stage, you've either got to say nothing or scream into their ear very, very loud. Not for me what I'd like as a guest of somebody to be screamed at or whispered into my ear at the same time. Unless it was Kylie Minogue, then I'd probably be all right about it.
In which case your wife might have an issue.
Yeah. I know, I was meaning go and watch him, not actually Kylie. I mean, if someone could arrange for Kylie Minogue to whisper to me, that'd be an amazing hospitality gift.
That would be the way to your heart then. We've got it.
I mean, it'd be a story to tell the lads down the pub thing, yeah. I thought I was going to a concert, but then I'm singing especially for you with Kylie on stage and she's whispering at me. That's a weird thing. So, yeah. But
yeah, I do think, you're right. Yeah, you are right. I don't understand. Those things are like really cool, and it's nice to be able to say, yeah, we took a customer to this stuff, or I got to go to this stuff. And but I always kind of think that kind of stuff is it buying loyalty of people rather than. I guess anything like that is probably our side. You might consider our cyber escape rooms as buying people's loyalty, but it's not really it's not the same as going to like fucking Wembley, is it? Running a cyber escape room with us. So yeah, I think we kind of take some of that angle of it out as well, maybe.
I think it's interesting though. I mean, I don't. In regards to, I was speaking to people about having something that, the event finishes. You have a drink, you go downstairs, have a drink, and then you come back and sort of pre-having food, something that was a bit of fun. And there isn't really a lot that's focused on what we do because generally people don't think cyber is that fun. If only they knew that it was a load of fun. But actually,
well, I think that's a real shame because I was talking about this to someone this morning. I was saying cyber actually the content can actually be quite interesting if you can find the right kind of angle to go out with people. Just the fucking delivery of it often is shit.
I think as well.
What's wrong with events as well? Because the speakers are usually sponsors that are going, look at my shiny new toy that we've got for you to play with, rather than actually bringing some fucking benefit. Which is so at our events, we said to people, you can have a speaking slot, that's fine, but don't fucking do a sales pitch. You can mention the company that you're from. Otherwise, talk about the thing you're an expert in. So if you're doing security awareness, talk to us about how, talk to us about behavioral psychology and what do you know about security awareness? Don't talk to us about your product. Talk to us about what you guys know.
And I think this is what gets me about the events is, so I've gone to a couple of events in recent times. I'm not in sales anymore. So I've gone to it as a delegate and I've sat in the room and I'm thinking, right, every third presentation is a vendor masquerading as an industry expert. Then they probably are, but what they're doing is getting a pitch. So you're taking people into a room where they're expecting to hear from industry experts or their peers, and what they're hearing from is somebody pitching them a product. And it used to be quite subtle, and now it's just like we don't even bother. They put the logo on there. It's their corporate deck. It's very much like this is very much a pitch, and you're sitting, and they've paid a lot of money to do that, to get up stage and do it. So when we do the large event at the end of the year, there will be a designated exhibition space, and I'm going to start the thing off by going, listen, I'm here now. I'm the commercial head of our company. I leave this room. I'm not coming back. I'm looking after the sponsors in the other room, and you'll have these speed pitch sessions that you're going to have with each sponsor. I'll look after that. This room is for you, for your peers, for industry experts that we've brought in and paid money to. We're not getting money off them for them to come up and talk about their technology or other. The vendors and suppliers will know their space. This is your safe space where you can talk amongst your peers, do roundtables, do discussions, and that's what we're looking to do. And I think that's not wrong. We're getting sponsorship money from people that are there to pitch. But then when they're in that room, I think the idea of saying, well, you can get up on the stage if you want, but that's an extra 15 grand. I don't like that. It doesn't sit. It doesn't sit very well with me.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've both kind of obviously had the same gripe about conferences, but we've kind of looked at it from a different angle. So we all of our speeches. There's a couple that were CISOs and stuff, but all of our speeches were from vendors, but they were from like the technical people in the vendors. So it wasn't the salespeople; it was the techies. So we did one. There was one really good one that we had from SoSafe where they brought a behavioral psychologist, that guy that works there called Dr. Christian Reinhardt. Yeah. And he talked about how the MGM hack happened. And I swear to God, I was sat there mesmerized with this talk. I fucking hate conference talks. I hate them. I never listen to them. I sat there mesmerized throughout his talk because he wasn't telling us anything about his company. He was just being really fucking interesting.
Do you not think it's interesting to hear about experiences? That's what you want to hear about. Even if it's like celebrities up there talking, some of them do it where they've got like a celebrity speaker. And like, I don't necessarily want to say, oh, I've been to see this person or have a selfie. I'm just interested to hear about what experience they have. I think if someone's done something like that, we had a local one here where I live in Rosendale where the CIO of Asda came and talked about their transformation of coming out of Walmart and stuff like that. I wasn't able to make it. It was before I knew of this community, but everyone was like, it was so fascinating to hear about the challenges of what that was. And because we've all been to an Asda at some point. Have you added the spice yet?
No, I've added some garlic and ginger, and now I'm just
get the spice added.
I forgot what the quantities are, but I'll just make it up.
I generally do the same. Add the garam masala and the cumin first, stir that for a few minutes, and then add the turmeric, the paprika, and the chili powder.
Okay, on it.
I've used this as almost like a bit of a scientific experiment. That when I first did it, I put no chili powder in, and then I've slowly added a little bit more to see how much can the kids take. How much to the point they say it's too spicy, but we've not got there yet. So
that's good. Mine complained that garlic was too spicy the other day. So yeah, that's what I'm currently contending with.
I think that I got into cooking because when I grew up, my dad didn't cook. He literally, you can put chips and crispy pancakes into the oven, but he didn't cook. So when we were having our first, I was like, right, I'm going to learn staples of bolognese, shepherd's pie, and stuff like that. Yeah. And it just became, I think the pandemic, it became a big thing for me to sort of cook. During the pandemic, when you could go back out again, my mother moved to near where we live, and she pulled up outside the house to give me something. I was like, oh, we've got a park next door. We're going to the park. Fancy coming? And so she was literally taking things out of her car at home, but the kid, my son wanted her to come. So we went to the park, walked up to this bike track thing that my son liked to run around. She joined him and followed him, put a foot up on the side, broke her leg in 2 places. So that phone call to my stepdad was lovely. Literally, he's unpacking boxes at their new house. And during COVID, my mum's being lifted out of the park by firemen and taken off to the hospital. And then she couldn't really, walk or anything for a good few months. So every Sunday, because I felt very, very guilty, I did a Sunday roast and sort of delivered it round to our house. Nice. Sort of it just gave me this massive love for cooking. And now I'm obsessed with wanting to make things better. So my first roast potatoes were terrible, and now I've ranked them up there like Gordon Ramsay and Jamie Oliver.
That's why you're going to be a good business founder, because you take the failure and then you use it to make yourself better rather than sitting and crying about it. Am I throwing some tomatoes in this now?
What?
Am I throwing these tomatoes in this now?
Not yet. No, give the spice about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
You want it to be like completely dried out, and then you throw the passata in. What I would do now, if you would, is get the chicken out and separate it so it doesn't stick together, so it cooks evenly. I'm going to do that once I've stirred this in.
Good shout.
So a really mad question. It sounds like I'm doing a podcast and talking to you, but I am curious to answer this question. What advice would you have given yourself at the start if you could give yourself advice now? Because I can answer that question back for October when I started this. There's some things that I would have done so differently, but I'm curious, what advice would you?
What would I have done differently? Well, I'd have changed fucking business partner a lot earlier, because there's a very long and very interesting story about him. But yeah, no. Other than that, to be honest, I think I've needed to make the mistakes that I've made in order to learn. Because I have to do it my own way first, and then see why everyone is telling me not to do it that way. I'm one of them fucking annoying people who's like, yeah, I know you've told me that that's a shit idea, but I need to know why it's a shit idea.
Right. Okay.
So I have to go and fail in my own way, I think. So I don't think we've done any spectacular fuck ups, to be honest. I think I'd probably try and niche down faster. I think would probably be my own advice to myself. I don't think we became niche fast enough, because we used to sell all sorts of fucking shite training, like pen tester training and stuff. But now obviously we do the security awareness escape rooms. So yeah, I think niching down. Right, what would you go with?
I think no, literally almost like write down everything that you know that you're good at and that you experience that, and everything else realize, right, I've got to go and get someone I can speak to about this, and this. I'm adding the passata now, by the way. Yeah. And the tomato puree as well. But yeah, I think that for me is just because I had this thing about, well, if I'm doing something, that's a good thing. If I'm active and I'm busy, that's a good thing. But the reality is, you can waste absolute time doing and one conversation with someone that I brought into the business to help me from the marketing side, whatever. One conversation was fantastic, but she pretty much pointed out that I'd wasted about 6 weeks before Christmas. And it's like, right, okay. So I think
there is conflicting advice on that. So I mean, I kind of did that, and I kind of actually did what you said you would do, which is go right. I'm shit at finances, so account. So I need a graphic designer. And I've learned graphic design by listening to the graphic designer, but she's had to develop our brand and all that kind of shit for us. So I kind of knew what I was really shit at to start with, and yes, did outsource that. But then I also built a board that could kind of plug some of those gaps as well. So like fucking understanding GDPR compliance, despite the fact that I've worked in cyber and probably sold products that claim to help with GDPR compliance, my knowledge of that shit was in the gutter. But yeah, but I don't think I know someone who knows the answer.
I think that's it. I think quite fortunate that I've got my business partners who have got that experience on the customer side. So there's someone, if I've got any ideas, I can literally just go and speak to them and say, right, I'm thinking this, would that resonate or would it not? And that's quite, that's really, really important. And I think with the more people I talk to about the business, because we're doing something where for every pound that the business brings in, so much of it will go to charity and good causes. People are just wanting to advise and help, and that's really, really positive. But I think there was just I think probably realizing where I needed help and asking for it, and go out and allocating budget to that rather than just trying to get on with it myself and save money was probably not the right solution. So that's it. So this should be cooking for, once you've got the starter, it should be cooking for about 5 minutes.
Okay. Cool.
And then you're gonna blend it.
What about adding the cream? Is that going right at the end then?
The cream comes after the blending.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, then that's the last bit. Then we'll add the chicken into it. What are you cauliflower rice in with me?
No, because my daughter's already eaten a dinner tonight, so I will put this in the freezer and save it for. Well, put it in the fridge and save it for tomorrow. I think
this is the one thing that's going to stay with me, that I'm going to stick with, is cauliflower rice, because I find it soaks up the sauce better than normal rice, and I always had curries and would come away feeling quite bloated. And I don't have this.
It tastes of cauliflower. That's the fucking issue with it.
It does, but if you put curry on top of it, it soaks up the curry. So it shouldn't do. It shouldn't do. And for me, it's quite simple. I just put it in the food processor until it's literally nothing, and then cook it for 7, and then cook it for microwave it for 7 minutes under some cling film with some herbs in there. And it's great. The thing is, though, if I'm going to go to Dishoom in town or something, they're probably not going to do cauliflower rice. So I will have to have normal rice at some point.
Dishoom is literally my favorite restaurant ever. So yes, I can't imagine that they would be doing cauliflower rice in there, because they do make the best Indian food that I've ever had. My
funny story. So me and my best friend were from a town called Rochdale, which you probably know, and Rochdale got to like the FA Cup and they played Tottenham, but Tottenham were playing at Wembley at the time because their stadium was being built. Yeah. So we went to watch them, and it was -4 when we left the stadium. At half time in the stadium, we just ditched our beers because it was just too cold to hold it. It was just ridiculous, so cold there. So when Rochdale were holding, it's like 1-1 at half time, and then after about 10 minutes into the second half, it got to like 5-1. So we departed and headed back towards London. My mate was in a really grumpy mood. We got back to King's Cross where we were staying, and the only place we could find that we could get into was Dishoom. Now, if you're from the north and you see London Dishoom prices, you're like, wow. And I'd never been there before. So it was fuming that it was cold. It was fuming that we'd come to this one place, and fuming he saw the prices of it. But then, yeah, best curry he'd ever had. So it turned around.
Yeah. I'm going to say, if you've tasted the Chilli chocolate cake as well for pudding, oh my god, that shit is
I had that on a lunch like meeting. So one vendor took me out there, and I was like, that is phenomenal. So yeah, no, it was brilliant.
It's amazing. Right, that chicken's got to be cooked now, isn't it? Have you took yours out altogether?
No, I put mine back in for a second, but now mine's cooked, so that can come out. And then, yeah, I'm gonna give this one more minute.
That just gets chucked in the sauce at the end, I'm guessing.
Correct, yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna give this one more minute and then stick it into the blender.
Nice. I've worn a white dress and I'm going to start stick blending something that's got fucking turmeric.
I don't know why I put white t-shirt on as well, but so far, nothing on there. Nothing on there.
Wait till you eat it. You're going to have to switch t-shirts before you eat it because you've just jinxed yourself there, my friend.
Yeah, mate. So, knowing the restrictions of keto, what would be the one thing that you think like you couldn't do it because you couldn't have that?
Oh,
So
beer, we already discussed it earlier. Beer and wine.
It'd be beer and wine. Okay, let's go food then. Take the drink out. What food would it be?
Food. Probably something like wraps, because I'd literally live on tortilla wraps filled with like veg and whatever. Or fajitas.
I've been surprised. I thought chips would be bad, and I thought bread would be a bad one. But I've actually been all right without both.
Well, I actually cheat my way through life and use that weight loss jab. So
use what?
Use that weight loss jab. So I am never fucking hungry anyway. So I don't currently, probably none of it would bother me. But yeah, I live on tortilla wraps.
Which jab is that one?
I use the Manjaro one.
Oh right, okay. So yeah, because there's Zenping in there, and then there's that. Yeah, I remember my family's using that as well.
We're gonna have to blend at separate times, aren't we? Because otherwise it's gonna be noisy.
Right, you ask me a question, and then I'll talk whilst you blend, and then you can vice versa.
Wow, no pressure. Just ask me a question.
You can just ask me to. I can just talk and whatever you prefer.
I know. Why don't you talk to us about the charities that you're supporting while we blend?
Great question. You can blend first. So the first charity that we supported was a local hospice that. So I said Lee and my business partner and I grew up in the same town, and the hospice that we supported, he sadly lost his mother there at the end of 23, and I lost my grandmother there, decades ago. And so it was a place that was kind of quite close to our heart. But the charities that we're looking to support, we're open to any suggestions, but there's sort of two criteria really. Are they sort of small enough that the donation of £5,000 is a massive thing to them? And secondly, is there a good story to tell around it that we can sort of tell with it? So the first one that we did was this hospice, really personal to Lee and I, and they came on the night and presented and talked about a 31-year-old widow and how the hospice had helped support her husband stay at home for as long as possible and things. And it's quite hard hitting. And I was in two minds about whether to even let them play the video, but I'm really glad that we did, because it resonated with people and like, listen, we've come tonight, we've given up our time, we've had a great evening, and then we know that great organisation gets £5,000 off the back of it. But our next charity will be a debt sort of recovery charity. So this, unfortunately, everyone will have at some point an interaction with a hospice, sadly, whether it's for themselves or a family member. Everyone knows somebody who's got a member of the family or someone they know who's hit hard times financially, has needed that support and guidance, and that's what they do. And so I think they've got some really big IT related plans with the money that we're going to donate to them. So those are really the two criteria really of what we look for. It's just, are they the right size that the money will matter to them, and secondly, are they is there a story? Will they help us tell a story around it? Because people just turn up to an event and go, oh, we're going to give it to charity. But I think actually showing people what the charity, how they benefit from it, will actually encourage people to come to the event and make people feel better about the fact that their participation in the event has had such a positive impact. Right, I'm going to blend now. What question should I ask you? If we were to do a charity that you were to select, which charity would it be and why?
Oh, good question. I quite like this way of doing a podcast where it's not just like fucking one way, because I quite like talking as well. Not that anyone might have noticed, but yeah, my charity would probably be Alzheimer's Society, because my grandma died of Alzheimer's, and I think probably from a selfish reason, because I think we need to find a fucking cure from it before I get it. But I also think it's a disease that no one really, they're not really finding anything that's doing anything about it. So yeah, it would probably be the Alzheimer's Society, because I think it's a big worry, and it's increasingly becoming more common as people are living longer. So that would be mine. That, or I don't know, like what's it called? Cancer research. Because I've had lots of people that I know die from cancer. So yeah, there we go. You need to come back now and unmute yourself.
I am back.
Yeah.
So it's a weird one. So I've run quite a few marathons for charity. I always like when the last one, my father was really unwell and sadly passed away. So I did it for a hospital that treated him. And there's been somewhere there's been a personal story, but there was one where my best friend's grandma was really suffering with Alzheimer's and hitting the end of her life. And so I did it for, I've fortunately had no one in my family that's had, dementia or anything like that. And what I'd say is the amount of messages that came through from people I didn't even know who donated money was probably like 5 times more off the Alzheimer's and dementia than anything else, because people were still living it. People were still, they lost that person, but they were still there, if you know what I mean. And you just got heartbreaking messages. But I think the biggest donation I got was like £150 from someone I've never even met before.
Wow.
Just for doing a marathon. So yeah, I think it's definitely a topic that resonates with people.
It's a really, really fucking shit disease, because like you said, the person's still there, but they're not there. You've lost them. And
yeah, so I think that was it. But I think there's loads of great causes out there, and I think that's what we're still looking for charities to work with. And so yeah, it's part of our podcast, but we're also going to get some of the charities that we've worked with to come onto the podcast and talk a bit more about how they're being disruptive, how they because it is mad. It's a very competitive market. Mad, isn't it? For charities, it's crazy competitive. There's only so much money going around, and so yeah, we're quite interested to hear from them at the same time.
That masala is fucking lovely. I've just thrown the cream in, and it's bloody gorgeous.
I thought you'd like it, honestly. I think the question is though, will your little girl like it?
I'm gonna drag her downstairs in a bit and get her to taste it.
Will that be her first time on the podcast?
Oh, she's not coming on the podcast because she's a fucking No, she's not. She's banned from being on the podcast because all she does is just ask me incessant questions. Maybe I should get her on it. She can teach us how to cook something. She's actually quite good at cooking because she does loads of cooking with with my mom. Yeah. So she actually can knock up a cake by herself.
How old is she?
7.
Oh, my boy's 8, and he's cooking he's baking my birthday. It's my birthday next month, so he's baking my birthday cake.
That's cute.
And we're at my brother-in-law's birthday on Sunday, and the 2 of us between us are baking his cake. So yes,
it's nice to have something to do with kids like that, though. I think
it's quite. I mean, this is the one thing. In my previous role, I was in London like three days a week. So most weeks it'd be Tuesday to Thursday in London, and that'd mean put the kids to bed on Monday night and not see them probably until Friday, because I'd get back late on Thursday. I wouldn't be up when they were going to school, and I'd pick them up from school on Friday. It's just really nice. I coach my son's football team. I get so much value from that. It's crazy. It's really good.
Yeah, well, I think that's the good thing about running your own business, and you can I say you can decide what hours you work. You can't really, because you fucking work them all. But at least you can kind of say, right, I am gonna set aside. So I always set aside like a couple of hours on an evening between picking my daughter up from my parents and her going to bed, where I try not to do any work, and me and her just hang out and talk about shit and play Animal Crossing, and I don't fucking know, whatever else we do.
Oh, I've got myself. Damn it. Literally, the worst thing to spill on a white t-shirt as well, anything with turmeric in it. It was a gamble putting a white t-shirt on, but you know what? It's okay to try. It's out of shot. It's down here on the right hand side. What I think a big thing for me, another question, because we've got a child of the same age. I remember, my dad had a really good IT career. It's why I got into cyber. I was looking for a sales role, and my dad talked about this fancy sales guy that had come down to his office in a black sports car, and he was talking about information security as it was back then. And so he that's sort of how I got into it. But he had a good career, and he played golf, and he had all these things. But when it came to the end, I wanted something. There wasn't a legacy, and I kind of want to do something that my kids understand what I do and understand hopefully the impact that it can make in a really positive way. How does your daughter look? Does she know what you do? Does she get what Mummy does? And
she definitely has an idea about it. I mean, she helps me put the escape rooms together. So when when we've come up with a new one, and then I'm like, fuck, I've got to put like 15 boxes of stuff together. She'll sit there and she will help me because she likes really doing that. And she loves coming to the store. For some reason, we store stuff in big yellow storage. She fucking loves going there. She thinks it's brilliant. She's like, yes, we get to go to the storage container. And I'm like, you are actually mental because it's the most boring place on earth. So she likes doing all that kind of stuff. But if you ask her what I do for a job, she just tells everyone that I'm a boss.
So, I mean, obviously, if you end up going down this route and you do it, I'd like to be involved in the business somehow as an idea that came to my head. But I was thinking, kids, there's never been a sort of a youth more interested in tech than the ones that we've got right now. It's a day-to-day part. Like when I was that age, we had a Master System and a Game Boy, and now they can play VR and play golf and play whatever like that. Like they're actually there. I think awareness for kids in cyber, gamifying that would be a really, really effective way of delivering it. There's established. Pardon?
We're actually working with Insight to build some stuff for girls in STEM for an outreach project that they're doing. So they're going into schools and trying to encourage more girls into the tech space. So we're working on an escape room that's aimed at kind of teenage girls to get them more interested in cyber. So I've got a couple of students that I know working on it. And I did say, I have said this on several podcasts, the way to get girls into cyber is to tell them that stalking their boyfriends on the internet is a fucking general skill that is useful in the cyber industry because they'd all fucking sign up. All of them. They'd all be here. So...
this is why things don't work the way. Imagine if I went to a school and went, lads, listen, this technology can be to check up on your girlfriend and see what they're doing. That would sound really sinister and really sort of like, but when it's said the other way, it sounds quite empowering. And so it's weird how the messages don't work.
Yes, I am using, for once, my female privilege to be able to say this shit. Right? It's not often I get the chance to do that, but I'm going to fucking use it today.
No, listen, fair play. I just think it's quite funny but you are right. But there's things like Roblox. Kids would prefer to get into a virtual world and go to a virtual JD Sports and look at trainers virtually and buy them there. In some cases, they're actually going down to the Trafford Centre and doing it. And I think if we can, there are some companies. Listen, know before do a great job, but they have done. They were first kind of into that market, but everything's just really predictable. It's what's been done 10 years ago. There's not a huge amount of innovation on it. I think that for the youth of today, if we could gamify it in a way, so what it sounds like you're doing is fantastic because I think that's the future to get kids interested.
One of the other things, touching on what you've just said there, actually about virtual reality, is we're working with an augmented reality company so that we can build AR escape room experiences, which I think kids would be quite into because they can walk around. You can basically we're working with them now, so we've got a thing where you can drop puzzles in whatever space you're in, and then the kids can go, or anyone can go walk around with a phone in the hand, and they'll whatever AR item you've dropped, you can interact with it and you can ask questions and stuff on it. And then that's quite a nice way of getting them fucking moving for a start, rather than sat in front of a screen. They are in front of a screen, but at least they're walking around. So you can kind of Pokemon Go it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think that for me, that's just something that's and not even for students or the youth, sort of for user awareness training. You know, what you're doing is something fundamentally different, but the status quo has been so mundane. Like in my previous role, that said company would send me a COVID phishing email in 2024. It's clearly a phishing email. It says it comes from my employer, but it talks about COVID. No one else did. It was so obvious. I never got caught out by one. I don't think I'm a genius. It was just the level of, and just everything you had to do, click next thing. So I think making it interactive, even for an audience, like an experience of someone who works in cyber or like generally office workers or whatever, is way more engaging.
The AR thing, we want to start using it at events. So actually, total sidebar, I might talk to you about this later. Because you can basically drop artifacts where you like. So we've got an idea of to make it super simple, so it's open to everyone. You can just drop letters around, and people have got to collect all the letters and unscramble the word. Easy peasy, right? That's for everyone. If you just want to get people moving around the conference space. Because they can, it's somewhat cool, it's a bit different. They can have a look at it, whatever.
It sounds really cool.
You can highlight different vendor stands, or you can point to where you can have it can be like interactive map. So you can have an arrow going this way to the speakers lounge, this way to the stage 1, whatever. Or we can actually build interactive bits of content within it as well. So if you wanted an actual escape room that you can walk around the event and do, that's cool. But you can do it. There's different levels of things that you can kind of do with it, and it's super interesting to kind of even just start thinking about the possibilities of that and how you can disrupt that bit of the market, I think.
Well, just by saying that word, you now realise you're going to have to come on my podcast because you said the word disrupt, and that's the name of our podcast. So disruptor. But I think going into something, and this, by the way, this isn't slating DTX, so this isn't slating InfoSec. But you go into those conferences now, and other than the reference of AI on every single stand to make it relevant, everything's still pretty much the same as it was 10 years ago. There's nothing massively innovative. People would still have a racing car there that people can pretend to drive. People are still giving out merch. There's nothing that's massively changed in that. I think looking at it and going, right, well, doing something like that, and it would be so cool. You go away talking about it, and whichever brand was the person to bring you in would be like, great, well, they're going to benefit from it because this is something different, something new.
Yeah, well, I think I was at a conference the other day, and they didn't even have the racing cars on the stands. They had no swag. People aren't even invested in that. There was a company there that was doing branded arcade games, but I mean, what's that got to do with cyber?
I think it just yeah. As I said, when I remember going to InfoSec years ago, and there was a battle every year. It was McAfee versus Symantec. It was when I first got into it, it was which ones would have the skimpiest outfits on, and then that became not PC. So then it became about who could give the best swag away, and there was this but there was a real energy in the room.
I think the swag's gone down now because everyone's got sustainability problems. So we get rid of that, but now we've not fucking replaced it with anything.
True. I think it, like I said, with everything, I don't think I'd ever go into that big conference space where you're having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. I don't think that's ever where we'd want to be. But with the event this year, so I think that with what we have with the video of what we did back in March is, we can prove the concept. People can see the event's quality. They can see the charity gets their money, and they can see it's worth coming to. Yeah. That then, when you're doing a larger event, it'll be our first one. That's the challenge until we've got that video, until we've got that sort of proof. But once we've done it successfully this year, the idea is just, right, well, how can we keep on improving that and keep on being innovative? And just us bringing someone like yourselves in to do it is different. Keeping them there and keeping them entertained and making that sort of, rather than people go off in different directions with different people at the end of it. The idea of just keeping them all together and then having, again, this charity element to it at the end of the night is hopefully going to be something we're pioneering. It's a new approach. Hopefully it works.
Yeah, I think it sounds really good. So if anyone's watching from the Manchester tech scene, they should totally get in touch with you. How do they contact you, Daniel?
The best way, as I'm finding out, is literally follow us on LinkedIn. You go to follow us at Utopia Cyber UK and message me on there, or you can add me on LinkedIn direct. That's the best way, or drop me an email, daniel@utopiacyberuk.com. But if you go onto the LinkedIn page, you'll see the work we've done for the events, what's coming next. The podcast details will be on there. There's a video. You'll quite like this, and I'll tell because you've met the individual. So we did our video last night to introduce the events, and then introducing the podcast in a separate video. Lee turns up, business partner, 6'7", turns up wearing shorts.
Okay.
So you've got myself and David sat there, different versions of business casual and blazer shirt, chinos, David's shirt, chinos, Lee polo shirt and shorts. So the post that's going out on LinkedIn tomorrow references it because you can't ignore it. If there's a picture, you just the first thing your eyes are drawn to are these really long legs. So you've got to go. It's got to be mentioned. So yeah, but that's what everything for the future events and podcasts and everything else will go on there, and all the charity stuff will be on there as well.
Perfect. Well, I like to see that Lee is still being authentically himself. And I'll never try and change that. I'll never ever try and change it. So cool. Thank you so much for coming on. I have now chucked the chicken in that sauce. I assumed that was the last step.
That's the last stage. I'm about to do the same, although there's still a little bit. And for my kids, it needs to be completely smooth. So I might chuck it in the blender again, and then put the chicken in. But apart from that, it's ready to go. And I'll save doing the cauliflower until they get back.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and yeah, we will presumably have some quite cool clips from this one, I think. So they will be up online soon, and yes, we will see you next week. No, in fact, we're back in about 5 hours with a different host. Star is coming back in 5 hours to host another episode for the American audience. So yes, we will see you then for episode 8. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Great to speak to you, and no doubt I'll be speaking to you a lot in the future as well. So looking forward to that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Done, I think.